Philip asks, what is the city doing to prepare for the international plowing match with so many people in such a small area? How will parking be addressed? And how will we make everything look attractive to showcase our town? And will there be any construction being done during this time frame?
Yeah, we've got a lot of planning to do between now and October. Great, exciting event, estimating between 70 and 80,000 people coming to our community. Wonderful opportunity to showcase our specifically agricultural part of our community. Logistically, it's going to be a challenge, but it's going to depend. The plowing match is the International Plowing Association is the main driver of this event. So it's not, it's not city driven. It's not the fairgrounds driven. They're using that facility. They've got lots of plans in place. They do this event every year, and sometimes they do it in the middle of nowhere, on a farmer's field. So they bring infrastructure. They've got camping set up so people can camp, 500 campsites or whatever they're going to have on a local farmer's field. We're going to have parking, in certain fields, in certain areas within the city. They'll put together shuttle buses, to shuttle people from distant parking lots. So we'll coordinate with them. We're having logistic meetings every month with the plowing match to just sort of, what do you need from the city to sort of help make this right, help make this happen. We're still going about our business construction. We still have things we need to do as a city. Obviously we'll try to minimize for the few days of the plowing match. We'll try to minimize whatever it is we can do at that time. When we get a little closer, we'll know what the schedule is. But at the end of the day, we're working closely with the group, the International Plowing Match, and we're expecting to put on a top-notch event. And I'm sure there'll be some bugs that need to be ironed out, but we'll get ahead of them and we'll deal with them as they happen. So we've got the whole community on board, lots of volunteers, so it's all good.
Still some planning to be done there, but
planning that's been done, and some more to be done for sure.
Right. Okay. This is going to be a housing question from Shelley, so I'm putting that in your mind up front because it's a fairly long one, but sure. It all ties together nicely. Shelley says, we know that attracting young entrepreneurs and working people to the community can help with the vitality of our economy. However, where will these young entrepreneurs and workers live? In addition, there are pressures from our senior population to move into more accessible and flexible accommodation. How does the mayor view diversifying housing options in the city from traditional single-family dwellings to a broader mix of housing, like townhouses and apartments, condo and rental? What kind of governance actions can we hope to make, i.e. more CIP incentives, streamlining approvals, shifting culture to support a mix of housing types to entice developers to our city to build alternative forms of housing?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. It does all tie in together with our, when we talk about keeping young, not just creating jobs for young entrepreneurs, but how do we keep them in our community? Well, you keep them in the community by having affordable places where they can live. So I'm very encouraged. We approved over 1,000 units at our planning in December of 2019, housing units. Most of those housing units are a very wide variety of a mix of housing. I know traditionally in the past it's been those bigger homes, ravine homes and stuff like that can be in the $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 price range. But what's recently come forward from a lot of the developers, and it really is supply and demand, right? I mean, they're realizing that housing market is slowing down. And what we're seeing now is we have approvals for several apartment complexes, which is, rentals, it hits a sweet spot. We've got cluster villas, stacked townhomes. We've got duplexes. We've got a mix of housing units coming forward in 3 or 4 different subdivisions, not just in Lindsay, but in Fenelon as well, that I think is going to be very encouraging, where it's going to bring that price point down from, what it's traditionally been at to, well, I'll call it a more affordable level, but still going to be, tough for some folks, obviously, moving forward. But housing is housing. It's a supply and demand thing, and we're hoping the more supply we can put on the market, then maybe the demand, especially for rental housing, goes down a little bit, and some of the rental prices, start to ease off a lot. So I'm very encouraged by some of the plans that our city is approving that are being brought forward, which just from a market-driven perspective is a much more affordable, attainable mix of our variety of housing. So that, with our job incentives for development charges and stuff that we're putting in place, we're hoping is a real potent mix to attract, keep, and bring seniors on fixed income and some of our younger people into the housing market. And I think it's just part of some of the steps we need to take moving forward. So I think you give that another year, and I'm sorry, what was her name? She's going to be quite encouraged.
Shelley, yes.
Shelley's going to be quite encouraged with what she sees coming forward.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
Lisa writes, as we keep improving our town for tourism, wanting more visitors to come here, what are your plans for entertainment, fun places for family? Everyone I know that comes into our town keeps asking, what is there to do in this town besides just bowling and axe throwing? Our town is in a big need for businesses with inside playgrounds. Having our town to serve food and a place to rest for visitors is great, but they're also looking for fun attractions.
We have axe throwing? I didn't know that.
We do.
Yeah, that's awesome. I have to try that sometimes, take out my frustrations. You know what? It goes back to, I think, private businesses, and it's a supply and a demand thing. Municipality doesn't, again, create fun businesses, for things to do our playgrounds. McDonald's puts in a playground because they're smart and they know by having an indoor playground, it's going to attract young people and they're going to have dinner while they're there or have a meal while they're there. I think when we combine it with all some of the other stuff that we've been talking about, some of the incentives moving forward over the next year or two, you're going to see more and more of these family-friendly things going on. I know this March break at the fairgrounds, they've got a dinosaur exhibit where people can explore, life-size dinosaurs for kids. And I know when you talk about what are some fun things to do, it's really a private incentive, whether it's March break or any other type of year that some of these businesses are going to have to invest in. Again, with the municipality, we try to create that atmosphere where they want to be here. If we can keep the people in our community, keep the jobs in our community, have affordable places for them to live, then I think you're going to see more of these businesses popping up to try to entertain the people that are here. It's strictly a supply and demand. You don't build something that people aren't here to enjoy or utilize, because then they don't stick around anyway. So I think it's coming. I know I keep saying give it a couple of years, but give it a couple of years, and I think you're going to start to see some of these changes, and this is going to be a much more vibrant community than we've probably had in quite some time.